Group of Rivers Indigenes and a civil society organization have approached the Federal High Court in Abuja, seeking to invalidate the Nigerian Senate's approval of the state's 2025 budget and appointments. They argue that the declaration of emergency rule in Rivers State and the Senate's subsequent legislative actions, including the appointment of a sole administrator, were unconstitutional. The plaintiffs, including community leaders and the Hope Africa Foundation, claimed President Tinubu's emergency proclamation and the appointment of Ebok Etta-Ebas as administrator violated Section 305 of the Constitution. Their lawyer, Ambrose Owuru, said the Senate's use of a voice vote instead of a two-thirds majority rendered the process illegal. They urged the court to halt further legislative actions tied to the emergency rule, warning of continued erosion of democratic governance. However, the National Assembly's lawyer, Mohammed Galadima, defended the Senate's actions as lawful and warned that granting the request could disrupt governance. He maintained that no legal injury had been established by the plaintiffs. Justice James Omotosho adjourned the case to 18 July for ruling. Judge, what do you make of this development?
Well, as much as I agree that every Nigerian have the right to seek for legal interpretation of whatever that concerns them. In this case, the suspension of the governor of Rivers State by the president and also that of Assembly, and allowing the National Assembly to take over the functions of legislative activities, and the executive in the presidency to take over that of the executive. People have voiced their opinion saying that it's unconstitutional and all of that, but what I want to say here is that it has been overtaken by events. We are talking about over nearly 4 months, if not more, that this has happened. A lot of things has happened. So for me, I don't see any need to begin to drag us back. That's my position now. I may not be correct. I may not sound the way people want me to sound. But my view is, instead of seeking for legal interpretation of this, trying to stall the progress that we are making, why don't you allow the passage of time, and probably with time, I believe everything will come back to normalcy, instead of trying to drag us back, because you're asking the Senate not to, go into passing the budget and all that. Imagine what will happen if that budget is not passed on time. Because this is legal matter. It is not something that the way they want it, that's how it will end. What am I trying to say? Adjournment has been set by the judge, Omotosho, on the 18th of July. That is not the finality of the matter. They might get there on the 18th. Another adjournment will be taken. So for how long will the state continue to suffer simply because we are seeking for interpretation? So for me, if you ask me, at this point, we should just allow the passage of time to take care of the whole thing. That's just my position on that matter.
So you feel that, but then the argument would be that, they are indigenes of Rivers State, they are residents of Rivers State, and as such, the actions and inactions of the government, both at the state and the federal level, affects them. It has direct consequence on them. Don't you think that based on that, while you feel it has been overtaken by events, they feel otherwise? And they are entitled and they have a right to feel the way they feel, right? And one would even say, looking at the contents of the budget, you were my guest the last time that we, looked at some of the preposterous things that were discovered in the budget. And it's even more interesting that the Senate approved this budget without further information with regards to the concerns that the House of Representatives raised. Does that mean that those concerns are not legitimate?
No, if you listen to me, when I started this discussion, I said as much as they have right to approach the court to seek for interpretation, legal interpretation of the matter, I am thinking that this matter has been overtaken by events. They should allow for the passage of time so that we can move forward. Now, yes, I was your guest a few days ago or thereabout where we spoke about the budget. And I insisted that what was captured in that budget was too humongous, and that, you know, we drained the resources of Rivers State. And I implored the House of Rep members to do the needful to ensure that, you know, Ibas and his group come to defend that budget. And if they find anything that is not in tandem with development of Rivers State, they should ensure that, you know, they don't pass that, or probably, you know, make the man to understand that he's not here to drain the resources of Rivers State. I said that. The Senate has passed that. We also have House of Rep members. My discussion was on House of Rep members who found out one or two things that were not supposed to be there, and I insisted that they should do the needful.
And interestingly, you also had a point, a concern that you raised, that I was like, probably because it's now open, probably there will be more transparency in you know, this process, passing this budget at the level of the House of Rep. And the concern that you validly raised was that, how are we sure that in between this time there will be no lobbying, and probably, you know, how are we sure that this will not be the last, or this will be the last that we'll hear of this matter? And you said that, I mean, over time, National Assembly has raised, even not just National Assembly, but other institutions have come up to raise certain alarm on certain issues, and you now find out that after that controversy is being raised, they now say, oh, we are addressing it, and then that's the last you hear of
that is the unfortunate thing that we found ourselves in this nation, where we run a representative democracy. People speak for you. No matter how aggrieved or how pained you are, you do not have the right to sit there because you are not elected to sit at that hallowed chambers. People are there representing you. And those who are representing you may decide to go against your position. The highest thing you can do is to wait for them at the next round of election to vote them out. That is if your number, you know, supersedes theirs. You know, so, but as it is now, like I said that day, they have come up with this. The possibility that the reason why they opened up that was because they were not carried along in the scheme of things. Lobbying is part of politics. Now that this thing has come to the fore, those who are at the who are behind the budget, I'm talking about those in Rivers State here behind the budget, will not just leave things to chance. They also will move. They will make their move. They will reach out to ensure that these things are passed, because this money is something that normally they will share among themselves. So obviously, with the kind of country we operate, the reason why the House of Rep members came out to, you know, bring that to the notice of Nigerians could easily be because they were not carried along in the scheme of things. Maybe the Senate were carried along and all of them threw blind eye to it, and it passed. You know, but because the House of Rep maybe we are looked down on, that was why they had to shout. And ever since then, like I said, it's possible that nothing of such will be heard again.
Nothing will come out of that.
After that time, there will be reach out, there will be lobbying, there will be things like that. And those who are at the forefront of trying to say we are defending the people and their interests will suddenly go cold on the matter. And even you that is
now
not...
That will now bring us to the House of Rep members in the National Assembly. I mean, the House of Rep members representing Rivers State constituencies in the National Assembly. Don't you think they should be speaking out? Even though they are not in that committee, but they are the mouthpiece of the people in Rivers State.
Make
me understand the politics that might be a hindrance to that.
No. The thing that might be a hindrance to them is not necessarily about, you know, maybe their return ticket or something. It's just a natural thing when it comes to this country. You know, corruption is so widespread to the point that everybody is looking for a way to get this. And sometimes I do not even blame them. Sorry, I do not blame them because they were the cause of the sufferings in the country. So the pressure that people pile on these, you know, elected officials or those who are appointed, who are holding one position of authority and all that, the pressure on them is so much that without that corruption, these people will not be able to meet up the demands of their constituents and all that. So these are some of the challenges, you know, these elected officials and appointed officials do have. And I sympathize with them. So it takes someone with a lot of...
You sympathize with them?
Yeah, no, I sympathize with the kind of the pressure that comes. I know I use the word I sympathize with them. It takes someone that has some kind of courage, that is contented.
Now let's look at, you recall when Alindume's saga happened in the National Assembly, and Alindube made reference to certain monies that accrue to them as senators. And you recall Ned Nwoko at some point even spoke out during an interview where he said, as a ranking senator, he receives over 500 million in constituency projects and all of that. The projects are awarded, you know, according to your rank in the National Assembly. Now, if as a ranking senator, I think he said 500 million to and above, as it were, and then for some 100 million, for some 200 million. I am understanding the pressure that these people could be under when they are receiving humongous amounts in constituency projects that do not trickle down to the constituencies. Now, you're looking at maintaining their structure, the monies they have to spend, the pressure from the constituencies to maintain their structure. Let's just say one of them receive like 100 million. Can any of these constituents come out to say, oh, this is the tangible thing I have received from, or I have benefited from this person representing me in the National Assembly? So what pressure could they be under when they are making money from it? I'm speaking this against the backdrop of what Ababio has said.
My dear, when I say these people are under pressure, I know what I'm talking about. If one or two persons cannot come out to say we have benefited from, there are a plethora of persons or human beings that can come out from that same constituency to say we have benefited from these people. They carry out a lot. Sometimes it's not necessarily about sharing money. Sometimes those constituency projects, they might have not have constructed something physical. You understand? They might have been doing some things like empowerment, payment of scholarship. These are people have, yes, I'm telling you, we have a case here in Obiakpo Federal Constituency. We have Okechin that has been doing things. But there are some persons in this same local government who will tell you that they have not seen, they have not benefited. It's like that. If you go around, you will see some of them also, because of greed, may decide to pocket the entire money without giving to anybody. But what I'm saying, it might not be from their constituency. It might be from other quarters. The pressure on politicians are so much. Even you as a private citizen, I'm sure you have a lot of pressure on you from relatives, friends and all that. There are much more those who are holding in trust. But that is not an excuse for you to be corrupt. It's not an excuse. But you know, corruption is so endemic in Nigeria that I don't know if it is possible that there is just one person in this country that is not corrupt. I don't know. I really cannot say if there's one person in this country, myself inclusive.
I am not.
No, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if there's one person in this country who is not corrupt. I'm not. Because there's no opportunity makes the thief. That you've not been there, that is the reason why you can say you're not. If you are given the opportunity to go there, and a constituency project of about 200 million is awarded to you, at that time you begin to think, why should I even give the entire 200 million to the people? Why don't I keep like 50 million or 100 million for myself and share the other ones? That is where you know whether you're corrupt or not.
I think that when you want to know whether you're corrupt or not, you don't need to be at an exalted position to test your integrity. You can test your integrity from the position that you occupy now, from at the point that you are. I mean, police officers, for example, are on the road. They are not occupying exalted positions in the real sense of the word. They just have power alone. And then your guess is as good as mine what is going on. Security officers.
Did you say police officers don't have power?
I said what they have is power.
Okay.
And your guess is as good as mine what is going on Nigerian roads. Okay. River State, for example. Okay. A lot of insecurity that is being perpetrated now can be traced to acts of some police brutality. I'm saying it on national television. Right. Now, when you say one has to, when you get to that position, I believe
Laurentia,
that
I said opportunity makes the thief. Opportunity makes the thief. Whatever position you're handling, that you're not corrupt because you've not been exposed to such, a free fall.
I think you should be speaking for yourself.
No. Like I said, I'm just assuming. I'm assuming. I said opportunity makes the thief. We've had several persons occupying positions of authority and they misuse the opportunity there.
And we also
that is even at a higher level.
We've also had people who occupied positions of authority, even in Nigeria, and
in our political system.
And their records were
in our political system.
Ngozo Konjiwala.
You really cannot say until
something comes out. But then, has anything come out? Dora Kunyili. I can go on and on to mention names. That we've had reputable Nigerians. We've had reputable Nigerians occupy positions.
Yes,
I think we should also give credence that there are still credible people in the country.
There's different from credibility and being corrupt. You can be credible because you're efficient in the job you do. That is not to say that you've not in any way, taken a kickback or taking something that does not belong to you.
As far as I know,
because there's no evidence to that effect.
There are still Nigerians with integrity.
There is always an exception to the rule. Let's leave it at that.
There are still Nigerians with integrity, and I will stand on that. But my point is, the people that are already there, right? While you have said that this budget, passage of the budget by Senate has been overtaken by events, and Rivers people should just focus on the future and what the future holds for us. Now, the issue now will be, if they are to go by your position, then one should be asking, probably it's time to call for accountability. What has the sole administrator done with the resources that he has handled so far? And also scrutinize the budget that is on ground right now, so that there will be accountability and transparency. Don't you think?
See, I have always believed that an eye for an eye will make the world go blind.
You're right.
I said something earlier here. It's not as if it is wrong for them to test the law. They have every right to approach the courts because what is actually happening affects them directly or indirectly. So they have the right to seek for the court. It's not for the court to determine whether they have locus on the matter. On the assumption that they have locus, they have the right. But I am saying, it is my own plea to them. See, when legal fireworks, grinds everything to a halt.
But
at the end of the day, you might.
But Senate has not been restrained. ABAS has not been restrained from spending so far.
We may be heading to that place. Okay. If there's a point that these guys will get to, and it becomes, okay for the court to bar them from, that may even lead to that. Depends on what their prayers are. What we are saying is, what has happened has happened. It has been overtaken by event. For me, I would have asked them to stand down because we have just little time, for the governor to be recalled and the assembly members to be recalled, so that the democratic organs can start functioning in the state. So while it is their right to try our courts, to determine some of these things, I will plead to them to stand down, because that may even, kind of slow the pace of how things are going.
You're right. Very well.
That's my position.